Good afternoon, good evening, good morning, wherever you are. This is Mr. Shakespeare again with you on the 6th of March, 2024. And I'm joined again with Remote Viewer and Psychic Medium, Liz Cross. How are we doing today, Liz?
Good, thank you. So you'll have to explain who this person is to our non-UK viewers.
So this is Keir Starmer. He's the party leader of the Labour Party. That would be more identified with the Democrat Party in the US. Although weirdly, as somebody said just this morning, just before we connected, I think it was on the Duran. I think the guys were on there, were talking. There's really not much difference now between the Labour Party and the Conservative Party, and their politics are both sort of headed into each other, and there's no difference. There's going to be a general election. It's widely expected that this guy will win.
He will.
Yeah, for the Labour Party.
And I called that a couple of years ago, I believe.
Yeah, well, last year, was it last year? Yeah, definitely last year you did, because we've asked. So everybody's going to blame the Tories and all of that, and then they're going to vote these people in, and it's two sides of the same coin. Really, they're like a uni-party. They're the same. So let's go through a few questions with him. Is he a globalist?
Are you a globalist? Ooh. Uh-oh. Maybe we should stop the recording. He would like to be.
Yeah, well, is he a fan of the World Economic Forum?
Are you a fan of the World Economic Forum? Huge fan.
What was his view on Brexit when it happened?
What was your view on Brexit? Should never have happened.
If you become leader, if you become prime minister, would it be one of yours or the Labour Party's policies to try and get the UK or England back in to the European Union?
So this is his personal thoughts, feelings, and opinions of today, which may be different when he's elected. But as of right now, would you try to enter the European Union? It's on the agenda, he says.
Is he following an agenda?
Are you following an agenda? Yes, he has things that he wants to do.
Where did his agenda come from?
Where does your agenda come? He made it up himself.
Okay.
Now,
sorry, go on. Keir Starmer was in the Crown Prosecution Service, the CPS, and when all this information came out about Jimmy Savile, he didn't prosecute. He didn't charge him. Why was that?
Why did you not prosecute Jimmy Savile? He said because at the time it was utterly ridiculous.
Yeah, but it was all true.
Right. But he didn't look at it like that. He looked at it like, this is a celebrity. He cannot be responsible for prosecuting at that time a celebrity. Now, a lot of people will not know who Jimmy Savile is, Mr. Shakespeare.
No, they won't. He was a horrible, nasty paedophile. He would be the equivalent. I mean, he worked for the British Intelligence Service. He was protected by the British Intelligence, and he would do a job that was similarly replicated later on by Epstein. So he'd get people, in situations, compromising situations, and then of course he's, the intelligence services or whatever got the dirt on him. Exactly what Epstein did later in America. This guy was doing in the 70s and 80s. He even had his own. He even had his own television program called Jim Will Fix It, where he had these children on there, and it was, when you look back at it now, I mean, there was a lot of information at the time, and nobody seemed to, I mean, there are stories of him going into into hospitals in Leeds and places like that, and the nurses were crying because they know he was coming. So he literally could do what he wanted, and he was protected by the deep state, and so this guy could have prosecuted him, but didn't.
Um,
Um,
and was more worried about his own personal reputation
of course.
than having to prosecute a celebrity. But now that's quite mainstream. Now we, prosecute celebrities all the time. Don't forget, kind of over here was the whole Michael Jackson thing. Oh, he couldn't be a pedophile um because he was a singer and he was a celebrity, and it was similar in a lot of ways. Jimmy Savile was much worse than Michael Jackson because I know that he would prey upon children that were very ill in hospitals, right? Because that was where he would go and do a lot of the work.
Hmm.
So he was terrible, but the BBC covering up for a pedophile, who would have thought that?
Hmm.
It
Hmm.
happens all the time. You just had to get rid of one of your esteemed presenters. What was it, last year, for chatting up some 16-year-old?
Don't remember.
uh,
Um,
yeah, wasn't it Hugh Edwards? Hugh Edwards.
let's ask Keir what he thinks of George Galloway winning the by-election in Rochdale and becoming now a member of Parliament again.
Ooh, okay, so what do you think here about George Galloway winning Rothschild? It's a vote for Britain, he says. Now, I'm not going to insert my opinion. Go ahead. Sorry.
Sorry, who said it was a vote for Britain?
Keir Starmer.
As he Labour Party didn't. There was a Labour candidate there that died, and sitting Labour candidate, old school, and Labour didn't field a candidate because there was some problem. I don't know. So Galloway is one of these sort of free speakers that. So is he in favour of George Galloway? Is he a fan of George
You a
Galloway?
fan of George Galloway? He's not a fan, but he likes that he's been voted in.
Okay, that's interesting. No, he got kicked out of the Labour Party by Tony Blair, the because he was criticising of the war in Iraq. When Blair killed all the people, um, or was part of it. Let's put it that way. Right. Okay. Interesting. Okay. So let's put Keir Starmer out. End of July 25, please.
Okay, so July 31st, 2025, 6 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time.
Um, is he Prime Minister?
He's just been elected.
Okay. Was it massive, big majority for Labour?
Is it a massive majority for Labor? I don't feel like it was a huge majority. No,
Thought it was
it
a
wasn't
majority.
a landslide.
Okay, but it was a majority nevertheless.
Was it a majority? Yes, it was.
Okay. Let's hold him there and grab George Galloway, please.
Okay. Now, he's the one that wants to stop the war between Israel and Hamas, right? Is that correct?
Um,
That's
he's.
correct. He just answered me. He's very outspoken. He's about Israel.
I think he wants the war in Ukraine to stop as well. He's basically anti-war.
Do you want the war in the Ukraine to stop as well? Absolutely. It's a waste of time. Waste of money, waste of time. So, and what do you think about the war in Israel? That should stop as well. So, yeah, you're right.
He's anti-war. Yeah, I mean that's how he fell out of favour because at the time when Tony Blair was prime minister, who was for for war, he was very outspoken, and he was kicked out of the Labour Party for being outspoken. In other words, because he was anti-war, he was kicked out. So, did he get re-elected in Rochdale? Because although he got elected now, he would be up for re-election in a general election. Did he get?
Yeah, Denver, Rochdale. No.
Oh, so he lost his seat.
So to do it. Yes, he did to Labor.
Right. Okay. So Labour put a big. Okay. All right. Fair enough. All right. So he's only got a year or so to. Has his time in Parliament made any difference? Does he think?
Do you think your time in Parliament is? Yes, he does think so. Now, it's funny you should ask that because right before you asked that question, I thought he hasn't made much difference at all.
Right. But he has.
He thinks so.
Okay. Well, let's ask Keir Starmer.
Okay. Do you believe that George Galloway has made a big difference in his time in Parliament? He says yes. Okay.
Yeah, I would have thought so. Okay, so now Keir Starmer's prime minister. What's the first things on his agenda?
Ooh. Energy. Oh, why are you laughing, Liz? Well, because you all need to watch Prime Minister's Questions. We do every week religiously. We love it. Order, order. It's great. So we know what's going on over there, right? We all make a cup of tea and we sit around like a family and we watch Prime Minister's Questions. It's great. You can learn a lot. Um, energy. Energy is first and foremost on his agenda. So recycling, national recycling, more so than what it is now, including like recycling food. Okay. Why do you want to push the energy? Because it's important. And I'm saying that you're asking people to put money into energy when there's no spare money. I don't care about that, he says. Now, that is right out of the labor playbook. And when I say that, it's because they're quizzed on that every week about why are they pushing energy policies when nobody has any money. And he keeps talking about it, energy, energy, energy. And he's just said it again.
No.
Interestingly enough, the councils are going bankrupt over there. Did you know that, Mr. Shakespeare?
I knew that a few of them were, yes.
Birmingham being one.
Uh-huh.
And for people who don't know, Birmingham is the second largest city in the UK, where my dad's from. Um, so let's ask him this question. What about all the councils in the UK? Have more gone bankrupt? Yes, several have gone bankrupt. So as we're looking out in 2025, loads of them have declared bankruptcy. Now, Birmingham put out a report, I think just yesterday, that they will have to raise council tax rates over the next year or so by 21%. And as I put that to Keir Starmer, it's going to be more than that. He's looking at maybe a 30 to 40% council tax rise.
Wow.
That is big.
Well, that's labor all over, isn't it? I'm afraid.
What about the migrant situation? He's letting them in. He's letting them in.
Yeah.
Now, I have to ask this question because something just came through in the signal lines just then. Do they get money from Europe to take in so many migrants per year? Because I feel like they are getting money.
I don't know. Sure, their own way to get here. There's always people that will take them, and they come to England obviously because of the handouts. They don't stop at places where they don't get any money. So And we're still, even though we're not part of the Brexit and not part of the European Union anymore, for some reason we're still subservient to the European courts, I believe, which is something that we should not be, because we're not part of the EU. And there's a lot of, I don't know. I mean, we've had
No. Somewhere in there, Europe is funding the UK to take a portion of these migrants.
right.
I feel that. I can see that very strongly.
Costing the UK taxpayer millions because they're putting them into hotels, they're putting them all over. These are, these people are.
Union wants them in there. They want the UK back.
Yeah,
I'm
I'm
telling you.
sure they do. And in Keir Starmer, they've got somebody who would go along with that agenda.
Yes, but if you give people the right to vote and they know that this particular race or these migrants will vote to rejoin Europe, of course they want to rejoin Europe because they have freedom of movement at that point, right? I don't know if you've renewed your passport lately, but we've gone back to the blue passports. We're no longer red passports. Did you know that?
No, I didn't actually.
Oh, yes. Yes, we've gone back to blue.
Okay.
So, um, but there's something going on here that I'm picking up. And this is a European agenda. And I'm telling you, the UK is getting money for taking in these migrants because Europe thinks that they will eventually be able to vote and they will vote to rejoin the EU. Now, let's ask Keir Starmer. Are you doing anything about the migrant crisis? No, he's not. Have you sent anybody back? No, no. So are they still coming in at the same level? It's even worse. Okay, so as I'm going out to 2030, it's worse than the levels that are coming in now. So however many hundreds of thousands you have. Now people have to remember, right? The UK is very, very small. I mean, it's not even what it doesn't even fit in the state of Texas, does it, Mr. Shakespeare? I don't believe so.
No, it's pretty much the size of Florida in land mass.
Right. So we need to make that very clear. So when you're having hundreds of thousands of people coming in by those little orange dinghies or those boats, right? Um, yeah, it makes a difference. Now, as I look out in 2030, he has not resolved this issue. There was talk at one time where they were going to send them to Rwanda. Rwanda was going to take them. And I think that what the government said at the time, Boris Johnson at the time said, well, if they're desperate to leave wherever it is they're coming from, then they'd be happy to go to Rwanda. Well, that backfired because didn't the European Court of Human Rights or somebody say you can't do that? Somebody said they couldn't do that. I can't remember. Don't quote me on that. But
Yeah, it was the European court.
it
So that,
was, yeah.
yeah, so that's the point. We're not in the EU, so why we're not subject to the European Court's views anymore on jurisdiction. But for some reason, they seem to obey what they shouldn't do because we're not in the EU.
Right. But they do. So maybe we need to ask Keir Starmer, um, why is it we still abide by the European court? Because it's the right thing to do. That was the answer he just gave me.
Well,
Um,
he is a trained lawyer and he is a globalist and he loves the World Economic Forum and he wants to get back into Brexit, into the European Union. So, you know,
let's ask. Let's ask. Out in 2030, has the UK rejoined the European Union? No, they're going to do a vote. And I feel that that vote is going to get him reelected again. How is the economic situation in the UK? It's diabolical. It's really, really bad. Is it worse
Why
than
would
what it
anybody
was?
vote for him again? Why would anybody vote for him again?
Who knows? Why? So let's ask this question. Is the economic situation in the UK worse than what it was in 24? It's about the same. So as we look 5 years out, any chance of economic recovery has been reaped in taxes, but it has been taken by way of taxes, right? So taxes have definitely gone up. Has the VAT gone up? Yes, I feel like VAT has gone up. What about the electric vehicle situation? They were in the process of making everybody convert over to electric vehicles. So you're still pushing that agenda? We have to, he says. Have you found that a lot of businesses have left the UK? No, but what he's telling me is a lot of businesses are naturally outside of the UK anyway.
Okay.
I don't know, Mr. Shakespeare. It doesn't look good. It doesn't look good. So
No,
let's ask from 2024 to 2030, approximately how many migrants have come in? About 3 million.
right. Yeah, that does not surprise me because if you remember when we did all those, we did two readings and we did all the countries, and I think we did them out 20 years, 15 or 20 years, and I think the UK population whenever we did it was up to 80 million, which is,
Oh.
I think it was 68 or 60 at the time. So that means there's 12 million. Germany stopped their migration and started getting rid of them, and they were back down to their, which is what they are at the moment, about 80 odd million. So, but England kept taking them in, so they must have done. Wow, 12 million more.
I just don't know where all these jobs are going to come from, considering that we've got AI coming in. Lots of people are losing their jobs. You know, the councils are going bankrupt. People are cutting back. They're going to replace the council services with, computer administration jobs were going to be replaced by computers. I just don't see how these people are going to have jobs.
Has there been a net benefit of having all these migrants come in by 2030?
Let's ask him. Has there been? Are you feet on the desk, Mr. Shakespeare? You sound far away. you're in you're in comfort thinking mode.
I
Uh,
am actually, yes, I am.
See, maybe I am psychic. Um, let's see. What was the benefit of having all the migrants come in? Is it good for the economy? No. Is it good for what is it good for? It's good for voters. So, in their own personal thoughts, feelings, and opinions, they need the migrants so they maintain the majority vote.
Okay, but obviously being illegal, which they are, whether they're asylum seekers or whatever, I mean, they're all illegal migrants. So how is it they shouldn't even be allowed to vote? I mean, that's the problem.
I feel like there's going to be some sort of amnesty given. What about all the Ukrainian refugees? Have they gone back to the Ukraine? Only a very, very small portion of them go back to the Ukraine. So a lot of the Ukrainian refugees remain.
Yeah, but
Uh,
there's not that many of them compared to what's coming in.
okay. So let's ask this question. And are you giving so they're changing the migrant rules.
Okay.
And if you come into the country and you meet certain criteria, okay, you will be given leave to remain status. Certain criteria meaning what? That let me ask him, certain what is the that you have a willingness to work and that you have what is it, a skill? No, not necessarily a skill. What about a degree or a professional skill? No. it really is that you just show a willingness to work and you maintain that status, the willingness to work, and you keep your nose clean, you stay out of trouble, you're going to get some sort of status of leave to remain. Because at this point, what I'm getting is they can't even ship them back. There's no money to send them back. There's no money to keep prosecuting them, not prosecuting, but going through the immigration court. There's no money for all that. There's too many migrants to, the ratio to the money to fund this venture, right? They've outdone the money that is put aside to deal with them. So now they're going to have to do something about them. And what they're planning to do is just give them like a leave to remain status. A lot of them. Now, I'm not going to say. Anyway, so that's where we are currently headed. You remember when we've done all those economic probes on the UK and we've gone out 20, 15, 20 years and they don't ever recover. They don't recover. I don't know what else to say. I guess I'll stop this one here. Mr. Shakespeare's gone.
Hey?
It's gotten quiet. It's time to end the video because I know your mind is just, the cogs are turning. So I'm going to stop it here.